My name's Rosie and I'm a Corporate Parenting Support Officer with Who Cares Scotland. When a child or a young person goes into care, essentially what happens is that their parents can't look after them for whatever reason, so then they go into the care of their local authority. From working with care experienced children and young people for 40 years at Who Cares Scotland, we know that our young people prefer to be referred to as care experienced. And the reason for that is it's a very inclusive term, so it covers all ages, all different kinds of care experience and backgrounds, and more importantly, it shifts the emphasis. So the young person isn't the object, they're the subject. So care experience is something that they've come through and they've learned from, rather than something that was done to them. Care can be delivered across a number of different settings. Young people can be looked after at home, which means that they stay in the family home but there's some kind of social work involvement. They can go to foster care, which means staying with another family. Kinship care, where they can stay with family or in some cases actually close relatives. We also have residential care, where the young person is taken away from the family home and resides in some kind of residential house with other care experienced people. A kinship care placement is when a child or a young person goes into the care of a family member, or in some cases actually close family friends. This can be arranged formally or it can be arranged informally. So a young person could go into care of the local authority who then place them in the care of a kinship carer, and that would be a formal arrangement. Informal arrangements, some of these are actually completely private and just arranged between members of extended family, and actually the local authority has no input whatsoever. Kinship care placements can have really positive outcomes when everybody involved in the child's life is working together to make sure that they're nourished, they're nurtured, they're loved. That's a huge thing we see time and time again, that people in care need to be loved. And unfortunately not every kinship care placement, or any care placement for that matter, always works out positively. Placements that break down, or the kind of residual problems that we see time and time again, are young people saying that they've been through this trauma, there's unprocessed life experience there that makes it really hard to build trusting and genuine relationships, and that can last well into their adult lives. In an ideal kinship care placement, you would have family members of the child or young person working together with professionals to make sure that that child is getting everything that they need, emotionally, physically, that they feel loved, that they feel nurtured, that they have everything they need to achieve their potential. And if you can create that kind of family and loving environment, but replicate it across the entire care system and the other types of placements, that is essentially what care experienced people need. They need that love and they need that stability. We hear time and time again that young people who have been through the care system have felt as though they have no voice, and their views are never heard in these formal decision-making processes that go on, which essentially shape their lives and shape their futures. All of the work that we do at Who Cares Scotland, it's the care experience voice that lies at the heart. These are young people who have come from backgrounds where they may have suffered neglect, abuse. Of course, there's going to be residual trauma, kind of unprocessed life experiences, which make it very difficult to then go on to make trusting or genuine relationships with anyone. The fact that we offer advocacy, which ensures that we make sure that the young person's voice is heard in every single hearing, review, panel and formal process, we do that based on genuine and trusting relationships. Care experienced people are among the most vulnerable in our society, and we also hear about how they're experiencing discrimination, harassment, being labelled as bad kids, and that kind of stigma follows them well into their adult lives. In the little existing legislation, which applies exclusively to care experienced young people, nowhere is it written that care experienced young people deserve love or should be loved. It's not only the act of receiving love, but learning how to give love when you've come from a background where you may have experienced abuse or trauma or neglect. It's extremely difficult. Those who work with care experienced people need to understand that we need love in this care system and work together to make sure that every young person has what they need, that's emotionally, physically, and remembering that the way to do that is to listen to care experienced people. To access support from Who Cares Scotland, there are a number of ways that young people can get involved in our work. Primarily it's through advocacy. So Depending on where you live and what kind of contract we hold in that local authority, we may be able to work with you in making sure that we can get your voice heard. We also have national events, so we have a summer camp, a Time to Shine festival. A huge part of what we do as well is representation. So kids that have grown up in care, whatever kind of placement, kinship or otherwise, can see people like them taking kind of platforms, sometimes global platforms, and saying, this is who I am care experienced, and I am proud of that. Even in that, I think a lot of young people who have come through the care system find a sense of community and a feeling of not being alone.